Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Adriana Vidaru. I'm the curator of the project Living Content Under Pressure, together with Tatiana Moise. And for those who don't know, Living Content Under Pressure is an interdisciplinary curatorial project that conceives itself as a collection of poetic explorations looking into a potential reconciliation with what it means to be human in the age of climate crisis. Living Content Under Pressure is composed of an exhibition hosted by Mobius Gallery in Bucharest, an online platform created by Wednesday Studio, and public programming that cross-pollinates the project's online and offline environments throughout September and October. And today we have a conversation with Adrian Ganea, and Tatiana, my colleague, will introduce Adrian and his presentation, together with a couple of, and we'll have a couple of questions at the end that should last approximately 40 minutes.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Adrian. So just to give a short presentation, Adrian Ganea is an artist born in Romania in 1989. He's drawn to the unreal, intrigued by the magic of the intangible and the ethereal. He seeks the sorcery that incarnates the virtual into solid matter. His practice ranges from designing scenography and sculptures to programming CG simulations and composing videos. He graduated from UDK Berlin, receiving a master's degree in set design with his project Cyborgia, based on Preciado's essay, How Pompeii Invented Pornography, the Gabinetto Segreto and the Sexopolitical Foundations of the Modern European Metropolis. Adrian lives and works between Cluj and Berlin, and tonight he is in Cluj to talk to us about Graves in the Cloud, in which he will reflect on growing libraries of digital 3D models that document nature through geometric shells wrapped in pictures in the age of climate emergency. So Adrian, the screen is yours.
Hello, thank you very much for having me. I am really happy to be part of Living Content program, and yeah, this is in a way a continuation of the work that is shown at Mobius Gallery, part of the exhibition. And in my recent works, I've been exploring a lot this idea of the way traces of life are somehow conserved and repurposed and reanimated through technology. And I will start a video now that kind of relates a lot to what I'm going to talk about, but for that I have to share my screen. Yes. Okay. Just 1 second. So this is a video I did some time ago. It was a work for a music performance for a friend and a dear collaborator of mine, who is also involved in this project, Mihaela Vasiliu Cloris, aka Cloris, and she has this this musical performance project where she often uses a lot of visual references to kind of complement her musical explorations. And in this work, as well as in other works I've been doing recently, I work a lot with digital assets, with mainly 3D models, and also a lot of references from nature to kind of imitate nature as well as possible in a way. So yeah, in this kind of collaborative works, I'm usually involved in both in theater and in like video projects or animations. It often feels like there is some kind of recycling involved of subjects that are being fictionalized, and in some ways through these fictions they are reanimated. And while making scenography for theater and 3D animations, I became drawn to this idea of imitating nature, to try to represent nature as perfect as possible. And it has kind of always been this quest for artists since forever, like to make these perfect imitations of nature. And more recently, especially through computer-generated images, and especially for the entertainment business, and in video games, this particular technique of photogrammetry, which is also known as 3D scanning, became very popular, and it became kind of the go-to solution. Oh, sorry, my cat is on my laptop. And this technique of 3D scanning, this technique of photogrammetry, became sort of the solution when it came to documenting and sort of reusing representations of plants, or mainly any kind of subjects in nature. And yeah, so this very precise documentation of nature is in a way quite similar to photography, but instead of capturing the environment through one lens and one perspective, this technique uses multiple perspectives, and an algorithm afterwards basically processes these photographs and determines an accurate geometry of the subject in the pictures. And through this process, like the subject is transformed into this perfect geometry, and it represents very precise the original shape of the subject. And through an algorithm, it almost transforms, like it almost the subject is transformed into another state. It's almost like metamorphosis. It becomes something kind of like engraved in stone, or it becomes in a way eternal. It becomes something that's set in stone. Sorry, not engraved in stone, set in stone. And these in a way, these perfect geometries that are wrapped in pictures, they brought me in my thoughts to the way funerary rituals work, and basically graves that usually are meant to conserve the shape and the image of the dead, and to somehow ensure a sort of an afterlife. And departing from this entertainment industry and considering the amount of 3D scans that were accumulated over the last few years in online documentations done mainly by scientists or 3D enthusiasts, or anyone who was interested in doing this and had a camera. And I sometimes view these documentations of nature as 3D scans as a sort of reflex to document and to capture the status quo, and to collectively ensure the conservation of things the way they are now. And in a way, it's kind of a collective feeling of this sixth extinction that is rapidly coming towards us. And the same way seed banks basically are buried under ice, or anthropologists are trying to record and archive every information they get about dying cultures. This process of documenting the shapes of nature is also, in a way, sort of ensuring an afterlife for the natural environment. And in this train of thought, I sometimes fantasize about how will the world be reconstructed in the future after this extinction that we are facing right now, and what will be a priority in rebuilding ecosystems, or what will be the logic of reconstructing this this forgotten nature. Will there be a kind of market that will dictate what is worthy to be reanimated, and also what form will this nature take after it's being rebuilt? And if I think about this type of rebirth after this climate crisis, and the things that the possible future civilization will find, how will a future civilization approach these findings? And for instance, if these seeds are going to be found that are buried under deep ice, will there be an interest to plant them, or maybe they would rather choose to 3D print the shapes of plants instead of just planting them? And in any case, if I'm imagining that someone finds these huge libraries of 3D scans, and if they manage to read them, it will the entire process will be probably like an archaeological excavation of sorts, like finding the grave of an entire world, possibly, like in a way, the masks the dead masks that were used in a funerary ritual for the dead world. Yes, so to further reflect on further reflect on the 3D models that I'm trying to somehow explain in this talk. I'm going to show some other videos as well, and to try to talk about my work in them. So in this video that you are seeing right now, I'm mainly using assets that are free to use in a huge library called Megascans. It is a library that's mainly used for video games, but recently it is used a lot for movies and commercials and all sorts of things. And it mainly focuses on scanning, on making as many things in nature as possible in this three-dimensional space. And I'm using this in game engine called Unreal Engine, also a free software to use. And in this game engine, basically you can almost sort of program sort of an ecosystem. You can program the foliage to automatically spawn inside the forest and so on. And yeah, while using these assets of plants and trees and a lot of subjects that are kind of alive, or yeah, a lot of living things, basically. I somehow thought about what are the consequences for basically reflect, yeah, how can I sort of emphasize the fact that all these living things that were scanned basically were introduced in this other huge library of data. How are they I'm sorry for losing my train of thought. Basically, I'm interested in what makes these plants in a virtual environment in a way alive, or how can they be represented in this sort of afterlife. Yeah, and often I think of them as in a way as living things, like if there's like this shell of a 3D model, like this geometry that kind of takes the shape of an actual living tree, for instance. It's almost like a part of that life keeps being there, or like is translated into this digital medium. And I often think of these digital models as in a way some sort of dead masks, or some sort of remains that still hold the spirit of the things they once were, or of the plants they represent, in a way. Yeah, so I will show you another video I've made recently for also for a recent exhibition, also in Bucharest, and it was also made in collaboration with Mihaela Vasiliu. It is basically a sculpture on an already existing 3D model. It's a model that I've downloaded from this Megastans library, and I kind of tried to carve a face into this model, and yeah, imagine a sort of a spirit of this dead tree that was scanned. And Mihaela Vasiliu Florici made a sort of a soundtrack for this video. And another video that relates to the one at Mobius Gallery is a video about an imaginary tree that also, in a way, was lost in future dead or dying nature. And this video and this idea of this sad tree that is lost in this forest, and basically sings a sad song about it's based on Francesca Caccini's composition Lasciatemi solo, leave me be, or leave me alone. And it's based on, there are a lot of references, I'm sorry for that, but its representation is based on Athanasius Kircher's experiments, like vomiting lobster demonstrating hydraulics. This absurd experiments in a way were meant to sort of articulate in a more plastic way scientific thinking, and I kind of enjoy that, and I feel like it's quite relevant to think of this changing climate in a more plastic way, in a more visually articulated way, and not only in data and in numbers. This is basically my young tree who is also vomiting sounds in a way, and is demonstrating a sort of lamentation and sort of sadness. Going towards the work at the exhibition at Mobis, I also wanted to maybe talk a bit about this work, which was shown last year at Zina Gallery here in Cluj, which is also about trees, and also in a way about sort of conservation of trees, and about reanimating them in a way, and to make these objects, I sort of applied a very similar logic that is used in creating 3D digital assets, and that is to sort of scan them or 3D scan them, and then unwrap the textures in order to make these UV maps that basically use to wrap the 3D geometry. And for this, I basically worked with these real life assets, with these real life 3 parts, and just like this process of taking the shape off of something, like, basically taking a mold after these shapes, and I then try to unfold, unwrap these molds in order to make these more 2-dimensional shapes of trees, like trying to turn the 3D trees into more abstracted 2-dimensional trees, like you would do in digital assets. And in this way, they could sort of be perceived as in a way as reanimated or sort of they are becoming something something physical that has a completely different logic to them, like their shape has this 2D unfolded shape rather than this live and sort of rotting wood that's continually being transformed. Yeah, so I'm sure there are many things that I could have made clearer. I'm clearly not an expert on making comprehensive presentations, but I am very happy to answer questions and to talk more specifics rather than a lot of thoughts that I can barely put together. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was great. Thank you. I'm really curious. I have a lot of I made a lot of notes, and I have a lot of thoughts here because I think there are a lot of things to talk about, actually. Well, one thing I think that stood out for me, and maybe we can develop a little bit on this, but this idea of photogrammetry and representation of nature, which is basically photography with multiple perspective, as you said, and how you see it as this process, how you see it as funerary graves. I find it really interesting. It's also when you, even in description of the talk, which seems a bit abstract in a sense, it actually becomes quite technical, right? I'm just going to read it because I just want to connect it to that again. In the age of climate emergencies, you reflect on growing libraries of digital 3D models that document nature through geometric shells wrapped in pictures. And that sounds very poetic, but it's actually a very technical thing, right?
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, that's the thing. It's all really one-to-one a funerary ritual for me. Like even like when I think about making stuff for scenography or not only 3D scanning per se, but this logic of taking the shape of something and basically reproducing it and reanimating it in a way. And the 3D scanning is for me very close to that, is so much this precise documentation of a thing that's in constant transformation, and then you basically conserve it forever in that particular shape. And it's also this conservation on a on a surface. You do not necessarily look too much into it, like what's inside of the object. You're focused on this surface, on this appearance, and on the representation of this subject. And in a way, that's the same logic you do when you bury someone, or you put someone in a box, and basically you place an image of that person to remember it for eternity. And in a way, that that grave, that box, somehow contains that shape of that person, and in a way tries to conserve it forever. And this logic is quite quite intriguing for me. I feel like it's sort of like a reflex. I like to think about it as like if you try to document the best things about the environment in this kind of scientific and very precise way to conserve this status quo. And
would you say that that's a healthy reflex, in the sense that, you know, there are all these questions that come up that you said, you know, how will the world be reconstructed? What would be the logic? Would there be a market that would decide what things would be, you know, brought back to life? Or, you know, what form would this nature take? And I'm also thinking about, you mentioned Doris, who is also part of the exhibition as well, I should mention, and she has an audio piece in the show. And she actually made a work about seeds, right? And how she's been saving seeds, and the seeds are actually for her very much like these symbols of resilience, and also makes me think, in relation to your talk, about like bank seeds, where you keep all these seeds in banks, and then you keep them at a certain temperature, and you keep them, and then you can take them, and, you know, you can have a tree in like 3,000 years, maybe the same tree that was, you know, a species that maybe is extinct or something like that. And I'm just thinking, in this case, do you see this like copy, this digital copy, do you see it as a replacement for the real, or could it ever be a replacement for the real? Or this is where like the nostalgia comes here?
I don't see it at all as a replacement. I completely see it autonomous, like it is its own thing. And that's so interesting about it, that I feel like all these and it's really hard to emphasize this, but it's like all these digital assets kind of started an afterlife in this mass cloud of data. They kind of became these these shells of past things that are now in these actual living environments. Like, even if they are digital, they still have an effect on what we think is real. Like playing a video game is, of course, in a way, watching a screen and interacting with a simulation, but at the same time, that wandering in a virtual nature has an effect on the player. And in that sense, I believe all these digital assets, they do not necessarily replace, and they probably will never be a replacement. Maybe they will be representations of how particular plants look like, or they will be references. But in a sense, they already started an afterlife, and in a sense, they are something distinctly different. They are, in a way, like spirits that continue to live in a completely different world, in a way. This is why I kind of reference the cloud as the place where the the 3D models continue on living. And of course, if they will be found at some point in the future, they will also probably be used in reconstructing this forgotten world or this long dead world. Maybe like the way we use grave artifacts in museums today. Maybe they will try to reanimate those 3D models into material. But I think, they definitely have a sort of autonomy about them. They're not just this or that in a way. They are their own thing, separate from the things they represent in a way. This is how I kind of think about the models in relations to the seeds or the actual biological beings. Yeah.
We've seen a lot of living creatures in the videos that you've shown, and maybe just to go further and to also come close to the end, can you give us some insight on the work that you have in the exhibition Living Content Under Pressure? Because I'm also curious to understand or to see how you relate with the exhibition now that we've seen this idea of the rebirth after the climate crisis, and we have the tree, the melancholic tree, playing the guitar at the Mobius gallery. I think it would be nice for the public to get some insight. I know that there's a collaboration between you and Flaviu Rogojan, who is also an artist and curator based in Cluj-Napoca, co-founder of the Aici Acolo pop-up gallery. Shout out to Flaviu and to Aici Acolo family if they are with us tonight.
Yes, so the idea for the work at Mobius Gallery, for the work Ghost, came about in the same way that I was thinking about these unfolded trees that are kind of reanimated in this inverse logic, and it also came while reading about Athanasius Kircher's experiments, and it also came about while I was in the studio with Flavio, and he likes to play guitar at the studio, and I was just thinking about these creatures that could articulate emotions in a way, and could sing. And initially I was planning to do this cello, and then I modeled it in 3D, and then I was thinking about somehow making it a physical sculpture and so on. And then while working with taking molds of trees and trying to construct this anthropomorphized tree, I somehow placed Flavius' guitar in its hands, and then I started thinking about how could I make this work, and then as I have no idea how to play guitar, I had a lot of help with, especially with tuning and composing the song for this, because otherwise I was kind of thinking of using another way to produce these emotional songs. And then Flavio basically showed me how to make this sound properly, and also he showed me a way to make this into to properly tune the guitar for this, and to make the I'm sorry, I'm thinking about too many technical aspects, and I'm trying to compress them all into one sentence. But basically, we replaced a lot of things that a classical guitar has, and we replaced them with some elements that can make the same sound as a guitar, but with a lot less equipment built on the guitar. And without his knowledge of singing and tuning and so on, it would have been practically impossible to make this sound the way it sounds. So yeah, I am very grateful for that.
Well, thank you as well, Stefania, for helping us in the gallery with tuning the guitar. Thank you, Adrian, for tonight. We are very happy to have you here and also in the exhibition. And just to let you know about tomorrow's public programming, we will have Katia Novickova, also starting at 4 p.m. Bucharest time. We will be talking about her series of work presented in the exhibition Living Content Under Pressure, currently on view at Mobius Gallery. The series is called Earthwares, and it depicts a new kind of visual landscape art, rendering life across different planetary planes, patterns from invisible light spectra, genomics, landscapes, algorithmic vision to forms of consciousness that go beyond the human. Thank you also to Roxana Gamars of Mobius Gallery, Ioan Maxim, and to all our partners, ICR New York, Goethe Institute, and of course, AFCN Romania. So see you tomorrow, and have a good evening.